All right, Nicole Kast is the Venezuela Country Director for the International Rescue Committee, and she joins us now from Bogota in neighboring Colombia. Nicole, thank you so much for being here. So just get us up to speed on where things are in terms of rescuers. We just heard from my colleague Nora Soto, who is reporting from Caracas, where she says that the hope of finding survivors under the rubble at this stage is near zero. Is that the case?
Yes, we're really in the final hours of the search and rescue operations. 72 hours is the window in which we hope to find people still alive. Venezuela was already in a situation of humanitarian need and with limited resources within their civil protection services. And even though international rescue teams are coming, there's still a significant gap, and many people will likely remain under the rubble. And as you said, the death toll will probably rise.
Yeah, in Norris's report, she pointed out one woman who was waiting for news of her son who had been inside of a collapsed building. He would be counted amongst the 50,000 plus who are still officially missing inside Venezuela. But, I mean, that's a terrifying number. Is the expectation that most of those people are under the rubble, or they're just outside of communications and their families just haven't heard from them?
Exactly. It could be both. We know that many areas in Venezuela suffered significant communication breakdowns. And so families, loved ones around the world were trying to contact their family members and were unable to do so. So we hope that some of those 50,000 are people who simply have not had access to cell phone service. But it is likely, as I said, that the death toll will rise significantly because many areas that are heavily affected have received very limited support.
What is the capabilities, the physical capabilities of the Venezuelan government right now in terms of heavy equipment? Because there are plenty of reports of people digging through the rubble with only their bare hands. I mean, how much more help in that department is really needed right now?
Well, as I said, the Civil Protection Service in Venezuela has limited resources. And in general, let's not forget that Venezuela was suffering already for a humanitarian crisis. It was one of the least funded humanitarian crises in the world last year, with a $400 million funding gap. And so all the infrastructure for emergency response was already severely limited, and this earthquake has only made it worse.
So walk us through what exactly is the greatest need right now. You obviously have a lot of people who are sleeping outside in their cars on the street. What is needed right now? Is it food? Is it shelter? What is it?
Yes, families left in a matter of seconds from their homes with what they had on their backs. And so really the needs are across the board. Families are in need of shelter. Many of the homes that were not flattened were severely compromised. And so families are not able to go back to sleep. And so they need shelter. Improvised shelters have been established, but they're limited and their resources are also extremely limited. So what that means is that we need basic supplies. These shelters don't have hygiene kits, clothing, food. And we also know that many supermarkets collapsed as a result of this earthquake in urban areas. And that means that access to food is also extremely limited. And so we're going to see hunger in the coming days. Water systems were also damaged as a result of the earthquake in 7 states across the country. And so access to clean water is also going to be a priority in a country that was already suffering from acute or severe cases of malnutrition.
How long do you expect that people will sleep outside of their homes? I mean, how afraid are people to go back in, given that there may still be tremors going on? And also, I presume that a lot of these buildings that are still standing are damaged.
Yes, exactly. Many buildings are damaged, although not all the buildings that have significant damage have been officially evaluated. And so families may not know whether or not their home is stable or not, because again, civil protection services are extremely limited, and they're prioritizing some of the key infrastructure before they get to each house to tell families if they can enter again. And so, yes, the need for access to shelter and other basic services that I mentioned is extremely high.
Can you just give us a sense of the impact that international aid like the aid that your group is providing, and international aid from the United States and many other countries around the world is having on the ground? I mean, is this going to be part of the recovery effort here, or are they still actively engaged in rescue efforts?
Well, the rescue and response teams are those that have been able to arrive at the airport, which was also significantly damaged. International humanitarian organizations are trying to get their service members in, or their humanitarian workers in. As we know, many humanitarian agencies that were already working in Venezuela had offices in Caracas. And so our own staff, including the International Rescue Committee staff, were sleeping out in the street, are directly affected. And so the need to have international humanitarian workers is high, because we can't always wait for our own staff to be able to respond, even in the midst of their own personal crises. And so getting access to the country for humanitarian workers is a significant challenge right now. The airport in Caracas is not functional, or has limited functionality, and access by road is also extremely difficult.
All right, Nicole Kast, the Venezuela Country Director for the International Rescue Committee. We appreciate you being here, and all the best of luck to your group and others just like it who are providing aid on the ground. Thank you.